It is lights out and away we go because it's Tuesday and we are back on the pit straight. Wyatt Watson along with Max Brignardello. And once again, it is the Italian Grand Prix for Formula One. No more IndyCar, no IndyCar news this week either. And Max Verstappen himself just dominated the race on Sunday morning for us, Sunday afternoon for y'all in Europe, and didn't look back on both the McLarens of Oscar Piastri and Lando Norris. However, uh, Papaya Rules, welcome back to the chat. They
Hell yeah.
had a situation at the end of the race where Lando Norris was rightfully running second, Oscar Piastri trying to chase down Lando at the end of that race, was making a little bit of headway, was about maybe 3.3 seconds back on Lando before the pit stops, and ended up overtaking Lando after a very, very slow stop on the left front for Lando. Enough of a gap to the fourth place guy of Charles Leclerc, looking for another podium in the team's home race. Could not get it though. Spoiler alert if you didn't watch the race, but could not get there, and allowed Oscar Piastri to much more quickly than Lando Norris at Hungary when this happened last year, and this was all for a race win. Much quicker than Lando did there, swap positions back to the original running order. Max, we talked before the show. You have some strong opinions on this. I have opinions on this. This is Formula One at its I wouldn't say finest. It's just a part of the game, it seems like, between this team and the Papaya rules that they like to enforce. What are your thoughts on this happening at the Italian Grand Prix and how if this will really affect the championship at all?
Well, I mean, first of all, thanks for having me. It's a pleasure to be back, and for
Mm-hmm.
all our listeners. Yeah, certainly some strong opinions. I mean, essentially, my take is this. I think it's quite the opposite of the finest of F1, in my opinion. I mean, I think we're here to race, and I share the views of what Max Verstappen said later in the race. If you haven't, the listeners haven't heard it, which essentially he made a strong point on. It's a team mistake. I mean, Norris was under no fault whatsoever, and it's not like every time they screw a pit stop, the other teammate has to be compensated for that. So the fact that they asked him to surrender the position, I really don't see the point of it, other than maybe there is some like item in the contract that they like Piastri needs to be like ahead for some reason. I really don't get it, and I think I'm guessing the justification would be that he's on top of the I mean on the championship, but I really dislike that at all. And I also dislike that they could have had like a 1-2 win at Monza, and just because of some mathematical like advantage, they would rather surrender that and leave that win to Verstappen, because I don't think it makes sense as a team, but it really isn't very the sport we're into to look at it. So yeah, I really didn't like it at all. But again, I think it's always been a controversy. Like team motors, they were banned at some point. Then they were back, and I think team motors are always a controversy in some way or the other. I remember Multi 21 from Vettel or whatever. So I think everyone has an opinion on it.
Yeah,
That's just my.
I mean, for me, coming up through the NASCAR and even the IndyCar world, when someone has a bad pit stop, I think you want to see both teams race at their finest. Make Lando Norris pass, of course, but this is Formula One. This has always been Formula One, and McLaren has had this happen in the past, and this is just part of the course. The only difference now it's both their drivers are fighting for the title. Now,
Yeah.
yeah, is Oscar going to need? I mean, they're going to need the team. I mean, who's Max Verstappen just won? He's 96 points back. He's not catching them in this Red Bull at all with 7 to go. Now,
No, yeah.
and if you assume Lando Norris and Oscar Piastri finish 1-2, and Norris can still catch up with seven points, not including the sprint weekends in there either. Frankly, I just frankly take each week at a time and see, oh, is there a sprint this weekend? Yes, cool, okay. But the 7 points in each Grand Prix, Lando Norris can catch up to Piastri in 4 races, or 5 races rather. He could take the lead in 5 of the next 7 if he wins now. That's a 6-point swing you're talking about with a pit stop issue. If I'm Oscar Piastri, every point matters in this championship against Lando. When we go to Azerbaijan in 2 weeks, and if Lando has a great car there and outpaces Oscar Piastri, now you're looking at 7 points that goes to Norris rather than to Piastri, and that's just how much more the gap shrinks going into other race weekends. You got to take every point you can, and if there's a mistake, I mean, I think again, Lando has made his mistakes trying to race Piastri, trying to pass him. Make Lando Norris make him make a mistake is what I'm trying to say on that front, and he's got to pass you if it was a larger mistake. We're not talking about this because now you have to race Charles Leclerc, and Oscar Piastri absolutely isn't giving up an extra position just to play these papaya rules. That's where I stand on this. On my front. Do you have anything else to add there, Max?
I think I'm just curious, like, is this how it's gonna go in the future? Like, if they mess up a pit stop for Norris, or is like Piastri going to surrender the position? And I'm also surprised that Norris was on board when I remember the commentators were discussing that live, like how much of a particular character for an F1 driver to actually be willing to surrender a position to a teammate. I think a lot of drivers wouldn't, especially Max Verstappen. He actually commented on that one, and I remember the incident with Perez back in its day. He certainly wouldn't surrender the position, even if it made logic that they fumble his pit stop. So how interesting for I think they always say you need to have the killer instinct in F1, and that's what makes the difference. I think this is like the opposite of that. And how weird for an F1 driver to be that way.
If I'm Piastri, I don't oblige. This is the now or even. I would give it that much at least. I say now or even, but the fact that this is a championship between these two drivers, I'm not. If the team comes over and tells me, "Hey, we want you to give this position back for this or that reason," he did that last year. I did it here. We're even. We're not doing this anymore. We can't. It's just F1 already struggles with the fact that these two are already dominating each race now. It's kind of at least we have a championship battle at the end of the day. Yeah, I mean, at least this isn't Max Verstappen 2022. I'll give it that, or 2023 rather, when he won every race except Singapore. At least it's not that kind of season. I can at least sleep at night saying, hey, at least these two McLarens are battling for the title at the end of the day. I would not want to see McLaren continue down this road, because I think it continues to allow for just the stalest of a championship battle that you could get in Formula One with this. And I would like wheel to wheel racing between these guys, like we saw at Austria, if at Red Bull Ring. Those are points where I look at it like, wow, this is what we all wanted. What we saw last Sunday, that's not what I want. And I mean, it was already a tough race with how dominant Max Verstappen was, and we'll get to that later. But that kind of added a unnecessary wrinkle into, wow, this was even worse than what I thought it could be, in my opinion. So
I think we're looking like to see some Hamilton versus Rosberg type thing, but in McLaren.
That's what I've been preaching.
Oh yeah, please go ahead. Yeah, I'm sorry that your pit stop was messed up. Oh,
it's
please.
it's too bubblegum is what it feels
Take my
like. Like I
second
want,
position. Why not? Come
yeah,
on.
I've been preaching I wanted a Rosberg Hamilton level of beef or level of competition between these drivers, and it has to come out eventually with how close the championship is, unless Piastri just goes out and wins like the next 3 in a row. That'll be tough for Lando to come back from. But if Norris starts popping off wins, Piastri's going to look at this moment and be like, "Why the hell did I do that?" It just again, well, we got to move on from that, but we could talk all day about this. But Lando Norris, Oscar Piastri, it's got to be the last time that we see Papaya Rules, and if we want to see an outright, flat out championship, like I hope to see for 2025. It was Italy, and Ferrari was nowhere to be seen for a podium chance unless we had something crazy go on with the McLarens, like we saw at Netherlands with Lando out there. Would be much closer if Lando finished that race as well.
Yeah.
But regardless, somehow with Charles Leclerc running fifth in the drivers' championship, and Hamilton right behind, I say right behind, 50, just under 50 points behind his teammate. This team is second in the constructors' title. I mean, Max Verstappen and George Russell have won races. Not to discount Lewis Hamilton has won a sprint race at China. I'll give him that much at least. But minus that, I mean, Ferrari has been. It feels like they've been so behind the ball. But I look at the constructors and it's like they still have something to race for here in second with 7 races to go. We have Azerbaijan coming up, a race I believe they were kind of strong at last year. If it wasn't for the Sergio Perez, Carlos Sainz incident that happened
Yeah.
at the end of that race. So, I mean,
I
is
think
there
that
really? Yeah, go
they
ahead.
receive a lot of aid from their customers teams. So Haas, Stake,
Mm-hmm.
so Stake Sauber, as they're running Ferrari engines, they have been doing pretty well. I think Ferrari did a pretty good job with the engine because, I mean, the recovery from Haas and from Sauber this year, which by the way, I mean, a quick like hats off to Bortoleto. What an incredible driver that is,
Yes.
the Brazilian driver. He's an incredible ace. I mean, and yeah, I mean that's Sauber with. I mean, he's obviously pushing to the limit, but it runs. It's somewhat competitive.
I mean,
I
yeah.
think because they mess up so many strategies.
Oh well, yeah, that's
uh,
just Ferrari in a nutshell for you. But I mean, you've had Nico Hulkenberg podium at the British Grand Prix with that team and the
oh
Ferrari
yeah,
engine. Haas has been showing speed in select sprint races and select races with Ocon, more rather than Ollie Behrman. It seems like, but Ferrari, I mean, 20 points ahead of Mercedes. Red Bull just has Max Verstappen. That second car is just a bin mobile, I guess. It's just nowhere to
yeah,
be found in all weekends, and that stinks for Yuki Tsunoda. But at the end of the day, I mean, that being there and then Mercedes having a rookie in that second seat is kind of shown to the point where Ferrari has put up consistent fourth and fifth place
yeah.
finishes,
They're
and
consistent.
sometimes get the podium to boost your points with Charles Leclerc. They sit in a spot to benefit great. I mean, McLaren, I'm about to say they can lock up the constructors title by what? Probably in the next 2 races. I think in 2 races they can lock that up because they have almost a 350 point lead
Yeah,
in that department right now. So I'm just surprised to see Ferrari like still hold on to that. I thought they were second, and I was like, oh, that's kind of surprising. Now after Italy and seeing like, well, like that was such a bad race, but look who's finishing ahead of them: Max Verstappen winning, and they're still 41 points behind, and it would take a lot to catch up if you have Charles Leclerc fourth and Lewis Hamilton fifth every race. Is it if there's anyone that could pass them between Red Bull and Mercedes, who would that be, Max?
I mean, I think on what you said about Ferrari, I think it just goes to show how important it is to have a proper customer program for your engines, how much consistency works, and what the other side of business there is for to F1. I think it's a very overlooked aspect. The constructor championship and the constructors on their own, but a lot of an interesting deal going on there, and I think that's what aids like the whole Ferrari thing being close to winning the constructors, and I think they have a very good shot. But I mean, McLaren wise being beaten, I don't think that's. I know it's mathematically possible yet because there are like 450 something points at stake in the upcoming races, but it's just ridiculous, man. I know that the whole aspect of the McLaren is their cooling system on the brakes, which they have like found that a very tricky thing that works. That's just unbeatable. At least for this season, it's just unbeatable. I think we'll see next year, but we need to get used to see either Piastri or Norris on top. I think my votes, like mark my words, it's going to be Piastri. He just has that cold blood that I think Norris does not. But we'll see.
Yeah, I'm about to say I've said multiple times on the channel. I think like Piastri is my pick to win the title this year, and it's only gotten better and better on that front. But I think if I had to choose, I mean, Mercedes only 20 points back, but their performances have been just lacking in so many different races. The only race I think Mercedes could do well in the next 7 is actually Coda. I think they have a great setup for that Coda track. I mean, I knew they were going to be great at Canada. I knew they were actually sleepers to win that race with George Russell, and almost podiumed also with Kimi Antonelli. I think he did podium at Canada.
Yeah, and also on Antonelli, I think that also explains a lot on the Mercedes underperformance. Like it's not very talked about, but Antonelli, he's not. He has a very good public image, but he more often than not sucks. I mean, he has crashed a lot.
He pointed this week at least. Like it seems like the goal for Kimi is to find the points one way or the other. It's like don't crash the car or have a mechanical failure, which he's had a couple times, not to his own fault, but I mean, glaring bad moments for him has been Austria, taking out Verstappen there and kind of taking him out of the title contention, the very little title contention that he really had, and there's just other points where he's been in the dirt, so that's just been his problem. But I'm interested to see how he progresses in the next 7 races. I mean, we've had other rookies like Isaac Hadjar, we talked about last week, getting his podium at
he's amazing.
Yeah, he's been, that was in Zandvoort, and that was a great performance and great weekend overall for that team. And yeah, it's just the rookie class is deep this year with talent, and Kimi for sure could do great things, especially at Coda. I'm going to move on and look back at Verstappen's win. 2 big things from this weekend for Max. He set the fastest qualifying lap of all time, beating Michael Schumacher's record at Monza.
Say that again, man.
Yeah.
It's insane.
That's insane. And then he goes on Sunday to make there was no safety cars or even virtual safety cars somehow. And he goes out and puts down the fastest race of all time in the same weekend. I mean, what more can you really say about this guy other than the fact that he's not going to contend for the title, but he goes out and impresses once again at a track he's won at in the past here at Monza.
I think we are at a point like we always imagine what would be to witness Schumacher or Prost or Lauda like live. I mean, the people could give the dimensions of how big they were. I think that's going to happen to us with Verstappen. We do not measure the size of his just gigantic talents as an F1 racer now. But like I can see like our kids. You know, you witnessed Verstappen live. You saw him dominating. I mean, what was he like? And that's the thing where we're at right now. I have no words to say. He's just like the greatest talent in from F1 on the latest years, next to Hamilton for sure, and perhaps followed most likely by Vettel. But he's just impressive. I would love to actually see both Verstappen and Hamilton in an incredible car again, and see who wins, because I think we only got that. We got that just for just the one season, and it was an incredible season, especially the end back in the day. So yeah, he's just currently, I would say he's the goat.
Yeah, I mean, that's kind of like if the rumors were indeed true, which I don't believe the rumors whatsoever about Alex Palou going to the second seat. In the IndyCar side, we're touting Alex Palou the same way on Formula One we tout Max Verstappen. Are we ever going to see someone truly live up to Max Verstappen in the same seat? I don't think we'll ever see that. And the pairing of him at Mercedes being the rumor for a long time, I don't think him and George Russell are ever going to be teammates. It doesn't seem like that's a great pairing either in terms of just egos at that point. That's why I'm just like I would love to see Palou make his way out there, and I understand the reasons why he won't on the American side, and being so connected within the IndyCar side of
Yeah,
things. But the fact that Verstappen is still finding ways to just add his name to the record books in a season where we're kind of saying, well, this is a step back for Max. He's not
yeah,
competing for the title because the McLaren is so overpowered. And kudos to McLaren on that end. They've beaten Red Bull fair and square to find a car faster than theirs. But in the meantime, Verstappen is still just big backing Red Bull as a whole as their second car just drowns outside of the points week in and week out. And he's still standing somewhere on the podium, whether it's first, second, or third, more times than not. And I have to take my hat off and say good job once again to that number one team and getting another accolade in this era that they're in. And of course, congratulations in order as well for their new team principal. It's
yeah.
not a Christian Horner anymore. I cannot remember
I
his
can't
name.
recall the name, but you.
Yeah, they're
And
new.
also, like
They're
I think it's a lot about the debate, like the never-ending debate of is it the car or is it the driver, and I think this might be a hot take, but I think it goes to show how a lot of the McLaren points and performance so far comes a lot from the car, and I just don't think that had Verstappen been in the McLaren in Monza, for example, and either Piastri or Norris in his Red Bull, they wouldn't have been able to beat him.
It's Laurent Mekies, who used to team principal for RB slash AlphaTauri slash Toro Rosso
Yeah,
back then. So
Flash.
his his first win as his first win as team principal in any capacity, and has to be, I believe in it in any capacity, but that's a good kudos to that team in the state that they're in right now to get a dominant performance out of Max like that once again. Finally, this is something that you brought up and brought to my attention before the show. Mohammed bin Salam just released a statement this weekend saying that V8's consideration for V8 engines, something that a lot of Formula One fans have, including myself, have been
And all
just
of us.
yearning for
Yeah.
just years. And the fact that we almost, if it wasn't for everything being approved for 2026, we would have possibly seen for that. Now, considerations for V8 have been pushed out to 2031. Max, obviously, this is just devastating that we're not going to get any push for. There's no push for this anymore. It's been moved back now 5.5 years at this point. What are your thoughts on that announcement and it being pushed back?
I mean, as a hardcore fan, I think it's just totally sad. And for those who haven't been in the loop, like the quick recap is back on April of this year, they were discussing the possibility of naturally aspirated V10s back for as for official engines for the sport. This was like totally stonewalled by almost all of the manufacturers, save for Red Bull, Ferrari, and surprisingly Cadillac was on board with the idea. And now they sort of try to find a middle ground on hybrid V8s, but the hybrid would have been very, very low. So mostly, like the majority of the power would have come out of the V8s, and a small amount, like a small push, sort of like a push to pass button from electric engines. But again, this was rejected. This was officially rejected this weekend. They like set up to discuss it with the manufacturers, including the new ones, which are Honda and Audi, along with, of course, Cadillac, Ferrari, Ford, Mercedes, and I think I mean Renault is going out this year. I think I'm not missing anyone else. Oh, right, McLaren and McLaren, and most of them were against the idea. As sad as it is, I can't say that I blame them. They pushed for V6 hybrids a lot back in its day, and a lot of investments have been made. I mean, the first like 7 years, everyone was struggling to just find the right formula to beat Mercedes, and now that it's sort of they're getting there, you just invite two new manufacturers to the grid and like, oh yeah, we are thinking about B10s or B8s. These are businesses at the end of the day, and they have put a lot of money on the table. So just like doing this 180 like mid-season is crazy. The hope was that they could be like an early adoption for 2029, but that's just out of the equation. And the new like year to revisit PM like the engines and or power units, it's going to be 2031. So I think it's very hard for all the hardcore fans. I think the new age fans, like Netflix, Drive to Survive type
The
fans,
Drive to Survive
are
fans.
not crying about it. But I don't know, man. I think you ask people, do you know F1? And they will be like, yes, phew. They will do the sound, the iconic V10, V8, or even V12 sound. And these cars
V12s.
just don't make it anymore. I think it's a bigger staple than they make it to be. I mean, sounds more important than they make it to be.
Look, every time I watch highlights from like the 2005 era where the Renault was so fast, or Michael Schumacher in the early 2000s with Ferrari, and you just hear those V12s and V10s, V8s just go and have that iconic sound that Formula One still loves to like slide in every now and then on their promotions. Well, you go to a F1 race, and hell, even IndyCar has not as bad of a problem, but still kind of a problem. It's not loud anymore, man. Like, you don't get that nostalgic feeling if you go to a Formula One race and watch them go. It's just they're still faster than ever with the grip. And Max Verstappen proved it this week with the pace that Red Bull put at Monza. But without the sound, you lose that leg of your marketing, and that leg of the appeal for the sport, and the fact that it's manufacturers rather than Formula One has to do this, but it's because the majority of their manufacturers are already and it makes sense from a financial aspect that you've already put so much money into this car and these engines for the future. You don't want to let those dollars or those euros or those pounds, wherever they're based out of, go to waste. Then it does make sense. But I think when you go look at we look at 2031, and you have those couple of manufacturers, including Cadillac, who's entering the sport, pushing for the V10s or a V8 engine. I think they have to make that case. Look at IMSA. Look at the they're calling this the platinum era there. Look at NASCAR and how loud and how many fans show up to that sector.
Exactly.
Everyone, the appeal is the motors, the power, and of course the speed.
Sound.
F1 has the speed, they don't have the sound, and I think if you add the speed to what's already been a big movement in F1, then the sky's the limit for Formula One.
Well, I think it's just like, you know how if you ask a kid to paint a car, they'll paint it red and you ask what it is, it's a Ferrari. That's just how iconic Ferrari is. And if you ask someone what's F1, they do the F1 sound because that's how iconic those sounds are. The engine screaming, and I remember I'm from Argentina, and we have like the oldest actual like motorsport series in history, which is called Turismo Carretera, and they are still running with naturally aspirated inline sixes, and they rev up to 30,000. It's incredible. And I took my friend last year. He's not a motorsport fan at all. He doesn't watch races. He just wanted to come with me, just to support me and be with me for the day and whatnot. And they were doing free practice that day on Saturday early morning, and they were coming out of the pits. We were like walking into the track, and they were coming out of the pits right in front of us, and the sound was mind blowing. It would like pierce your ears, and he would literally look to me from his side, and he's like, "I literally have chills right now." And that's what it's all about. He doesn't watch motorsport. He doesn't understand engines, but the sound already had him in love with what he was seeing. That's how important I think for also for spectators are. I think that's why NASCAR tracks are always full because people love it, even if you don't like don't understand the sport. You like listening to those sounds, and yeah, it's just a huge love. But like you said, a lot of business and also we need to remember that a lot of the technology that the teams put in their cars in F1s, they want to gain something out of it other than just promotion. And hybrid engines are obviously the current and future ways of or like mass production cars. So it makes more sense. I mean, manufacturers are not interested in natural aspirated P10s. They're just not viable for a family car. You are into hybrids right now or electrics. So I am a sensible man. I am reasonable, but I'm also have a heart. So I understand, but I'm still very saddened from all of it.
Yeah, and hopefully they come back in the future, like we've said, and we'll see what happens. We'll see what happens also with Formula One in a couple weeks' time as they go once again to Azerbaijan for their next round, round 17 of the season. IndyCar is over, but there's still plenty of news going on, plenty of moves, and hey, we might have a guest even in the off season on that side coming up. So stay tuned for that on the Pit Straight. Max, been a while since we had you back on the show. Good to have you back on.
It's a pleasure to be there, man. I love always talking about cars and engines. So thanks for having me.
Yeah, for sure. And follow me at Wyatt W Racing. Max, where can the people follow you for more of your F1 takes and also what you got on frontstretch.com?
Oh, well, I mean, of course, you can always read me at frontstretch.com. And I'm also starting my a small account on social media, mostly on Twitter, which is Blood, Sweat, and Gasoline. So if you want to check me up there, we'll post in some articles in Substack and so on. So yeah, that's where you can find me.
Awesome. And again, find all my stuff on frontstretch.com. You can find me in a couple days' time on Through the Gears as we get set for that. I'm excited to announce here on the Pit Straight that Chase Holden, might note him on the IndyCar side and from Speed Street podcast with Connor Daly. He will be joining the show to talk Bristol betting for that, the cutoff race for the NASCAR Cup Series round 1 of the playoffs. So check that out. Going on right now as we record it live is Happy Hour with Trey Lyle, Michael Massey, and Dalton Hopkins, and they have NASCAR's Zach Stranilo, journalist for NASCAR.com. So check that out. live right now on our YouTube and also on our podcast platforms as well. And Bringing the Heat with Trey Lyle. Not sure who he has on that show, but check out his stuff there. And that'll do it. And Stock Car Scoop as well with Caleb Barnes once again there too. So thanks again for following us here at Frontstretch. Follow on Twitter at Frontstretch and our open wheel platform, Frontstretch Open Wheel. And take care, ladies and gentlemen, and have a good one until we meet again for the Azerbaijan Grand Prix.